And even then, as soon as they were back, they were asking you all kinds of questions. So when will you post me out? By year 5, 50% of them you were able to attract back. Believe me, year 8, year 9, 100% of them came back home. 100%. So that we even made an arrangement for those who had not done the youth survey to say, you know what, register with the National Youth Service and get yourself posted to us. And your year of service will be your first year of training. So you're killing 2 birds with 1 stone. And they never leave. So I see that someday we would also get there. It's such a shame that a whole lot of our resources we use these days in preparing the young ones, and they want to leave. But the world of work is becoming very, very global, and we have to be part of that competition. And I believe that all we have to do is create that enabling environment in this country, and they will return. They will surely return. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yeah, Dr. Amon, your intervention, please.
I've been involved in recruiting Nigerians in diaspora in the oil and gas industry, because we have the Nigerian Oil and Gas Industry Content Development Act, which was passed into law on the 22nd of April 2010, which gives Nigerians a right of first refusal. So apart from succession planning to get Nigerians who are competent enough to replace expatriates in strategic positions, we have designed models of repatriating and encouraging Nigerians in diaspora to return home and replace expatriates. The problems we have is HR in the international oil companies that are Nigerian. Expatriates would rather pay for a Nigerian because it's cheaper to bring a Nigerian back to Nigeria than an expatriate. And they're looking at the bottom line. The problem is HR would normally tell us, how can we pay a Nigerian in dollars or the equivalent of his dollars income when we have other Nigerians here that have the same experience being paid in Naira. But the solution to that has always been to bring the Nigerians back as contract staff for a period of at least 1 year, house them in a hotel or one of the hotels on the island for the first 2 months when they find a home on the island, and we ensure that their mortgage, what their compensation to handle their mortgage and their foreign exposure in terms of costs is covered by an allowance, and then they're paid a Nigerian salary. So there are innovative ways of actually bridging the gap of encouraging Nigerians to return. But wherever you find Nigerians who are experienced and talented overseas, it's a huge problem trying to convince them to come back home. And sometimes when they come back home and they don't get a soft landing and the environment is hostile, they will return back and leave Nigeria. So we still have a lot of cultural issues to address, where we need to bend over backwards to make sure that we give Nigerians in diaspora a pathway to returning back home to create value, and a conducive environment for them to be encouraged to stay. And that also requires family support and the support of HR in the local companies. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yeah, Tola Ashok, SAN, your intervention, please.
Most of what needs to be said has been said. I think there needs to be, because I think this issue is an imperative for the country to stem brain drain and to attract brains back, Nigerians and non-Nigerians, preferably Nigerians, intellectual capital back into our economy. And I think it's it's not a chance thing. India did not reverse that tide by letting events evolve freely. I mean, I think there has to be a deliberate strategy at national level, at corporate level. Mr. Fagoibo told us about what his organization tried to do when he was the director in charge of HR. If we can replicate this across board, it becomes a national policy, it becomes policy at the organized private sector level, and then they push it down to their membership. I'm talking about the NACIMA, the National Nigerian Chamber of Commerce, Manufacturers Association, and other professional bodies. I think it needs to be a national strategy, a corporate strategy to attract them back. I've interacted with Nigerians abroad, I'm sure we all have rather, and they want to, a lot of them want to come back home. Even those that don't want to come back home want to contribute in one way or another to the development of the country. Without any effort, we're talking about diaspora remittances, that's just money, we're not talking about intellectual capital yet, but it's a lot of money. People, so they're putting money back in, they're interested in the country. It's one of the largest sources of foreign exchange for Nigeria today. It's actually one of the, I think India is number one in the world in diaspora remittances. It's in the hundreds of millions, and I'm sure that is probably the principal way in which he was able to bridge his balance of payment obligation trouble. So I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing, 100%, pushing Nigerians going abroad for the great, but because education is not limited to your paper qualification. I think the bigger part of education is actually, and we're talking about professionals, it's actually the practical experience you acquire in terms of in the job, in whatever profession you choose to pursue. Obviously in Nigeria we're not as advanced as the practice of law, of medicine, or whatever, what have you. It's not as advanced in Nigeria as it is in other places. So there's a benefit to the brain drain, quote unquote, in terms of actually developing the cognitive skills of Nigerians in practical terms, which is, in my opinion, more important than the paper educational qualification in terms of even processes, procedures, and all that. So there's a value. The challenge is ensuring or developing a strategy to attract them back, to come back home, either to settle, to invest, or to what have you. I mean, I was discussing with a colleague, a classmate of mine. We had a 30-year retreat, a 30-year reunion in Abu Dhabi, and I was discussing with a classmate of mine who's a medical doctor, one of the people who's gone abroad, and he's not an MBA focused on managing medical institutions, and he's gone into the business side of things in America. And he was talking about the opportunities, for instance, in coming to Nigeria on the business side of medicine. And I was really in instances, because concession is one of the areas of my interest. I'm aware that about 2 or 3 medical concessions now, I think that mostly in Abuja, where the government has concession or hospital to a private, to foreign private medical experts. Usually from, I'm aware of 1 or 2 from India, because obviously Nigeria spends, we spend about at least over $3 billion a year in medical tourism. And 1 or 2 of the Indian hospitals decided to come and open shop here. And usually I'm told that our Broadway concession hospital is not usually as profitable because government has to subsidize and all that in all that jurisdiction. But from day one, the concessions here in Nigeria were profitable because there's a huge demand. We know how much we spend, and people tell me that even the $3 billion capital flight in terms of medical tourism is an understatement. So I started having that discussion with him. It's something he's very interested in. It meets not only the medicine in diverse areas. We have Andela in the IT sector. There was 2 Nigerians and a couple of other non-Nigerians that came up with the idea of developing an institution in Nigeria to train Nigerian youths at the highest level of knowledge in information technology. And I think they just have their first set of graduates, or they're about to. And they are training Nigerians to work in Nigeria and also to be competitive with IT experts trained in any part of the world. 2 Nigerians were part of this initiative. There was a group of 5 young people. 2 of them were Nigerians who were behind this. And that's one sector. And probably the most important sector, because everything in the world is IT driven, whether it's medicine, whether it's law, and what have you. So I think it can be done. The great thing itself, as I said, is not these Nigerians who developed, who were part of this, were actually living and working abroad, but they came back home. We have to create an enabling environment. In the mid 2000s, I mean, from 2004 to about 2007, we saw a lot of Nigerians coming back home. People in the HR can say this. But there was a switch after the Great Recession, as they call it, of 2008. There was a reversal, and people started, I don't have the figures, but I know that there was a huge, people were looking back home, and a lot of people that I know personally actually came back home. But when the recession started and it was sustained, a lot of them started going back to the various places they came from. So I think we need to have a coordinated and sustained strategy at the private sector level and the public sector level to actually attract. We cannot be done by wishful thinking. It has to be very deliberate.
Thank you very much. Yes, your intervention, Madam. Sorry.
Okay. In terms of reversing brain drain, I think the first question that comes to my mind is what causes the brain drain? I think there are three things that a man or woman looks for that causes them to be magnetized to other environments. Number one is they want environments where they can, express that passion. We're talking about career, we're talking about profession. Environments where they can express that passion successfully because it is appreciated and you have the tools and what it takes for them to fully express themselves. The second part of it is the economics. Are they well paid? Okay. The third one is for their families, their children, good schools, etc. Now when you look at these three things, I think that we started doing well at some point, just like what he said. And we started seeing people coming back. But there has been a major reversal from the recession period. So I think we need to try and rewind and get back to getting those three things going on well, and we'll begin to see that reversal coming. So it's not out of the ordinary, it can happen, and it was happening. Okay. Now, the second thing I'm going to mention is in that period when they were coming back, what were the enablers? And I think a lot of the enablers came from, number one, private sector. Private sector did a lot. Okay, she was talking about the oil and gas sector, banks, name it. They tried to fill those three gaps. Make sure they fed that passion by creating a good corporate environment, make sure the economics was right, and make sure they were able to answer the questions of what school my kids will go to, etc., etc. So they had that smooth landing and it became attractive. So private sector did a good job. To some extent, the federal government also tried. Because some of our ministers and co were got from abroad. Okay? The area I want to emphasize is the state governments. We were consulted for about 8 years to a particular state government. And one of the things that the governor did was set up a desk for diaspora engagement. And I thought that was very commendable. And it was interesting, the number of citizens who were very excited to come back. I think our 36 states need to try and do a little bit more. I think that's where the weak link is. I think Lagos State has done fairly well in that regard. But I think our state governors should get a little bit more innovative and see how they can create enablers that bring, if we can do that in 36 states, that's going to be formidable in terms of the impact. That's the slight addition I want to make to the other contribution.
Thank you very much. Yeah, before we wrap this up, I would like maybe one or two contributions from the participants. I hope I'm allowed to do that. for instance. Maybe one or two comments from the, just for 60 seconds each. The presidential candidate, who has impressed me so much. I wish the system would allow you to.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's an honor, it's a privilege to be here. To be honest, I've heard people speak about professions, I've heard people speak about the choices that we make, how families affect all of that. And standing here today to be a product of Sani Bello retired, who, like many of us in the room today, have actually come under his tutelage. From the decisions we've made on career path, which he will never interfere with, to the fact that we've actually moved from one profession to the other, and at every given time he says all the best. And one amazing thing about him is that he tries as much as possible to understand every field. So when you come to him, he has something to use or something he understands about that field to guide you. And as much as I'm more used to talking about political matters, I will try as much as possible to stay within the confines of while we're here. I have moved my career from being a geologist to be a business developer, to be a chemical engineering consultant, to be an IT entrepreneur, and today I found myself in politics. The one thing I would like to talk to everybody in the room is that most of the things that we've all discussed here are intellectually driven. And they're intellectually driven because we're intellectuals. But the part that we have missed is the fact that we have not introduced this intellectualism in our politics. And that is why at the end of the day we do all the hard work to sort of steer our thinking process towards what our nation should be like. But we'll leave the last decisions in the hands of the politicians. That is a big mistake. Just last week I was with Sani Bello in Abuja and we were talking about different things, and he spent 45 minutes of his time lecturing me about education, how he managed the educational situation in Kano while he was governor. He talked to me about why the civil service is not working, how the new system has disconnected the ministers from the head of service to the permanent secretaries, and so accountability, transparency and efficiency has been affected. He also talked to me about what he thinks we should do to defense. So all of these things are things that he has a massive repository of knowledge on how to solve this. And I said to him, Didi, like it's what we called, why don't you hit the big stage and get people educated about these things? And he said, I don't like the public space. And I said, will you give me the honor to be your mouthpiece? And I might speak very well. Some people might say, oh, he's got a good diction. I actually grew up in a village called Kontobora, and I studied my primary school education, which is the foundation of what I've become in Mustafa Comprehensive School, a school that he built even before he became 40. So I want to use this opportunity to sincerely thank you for making the man that I've become, and to say to the whole world that this is truly one leader without a title. Thank you.
Thank you. You see why I wish they would allow you to become president. Yes, another intervention there, please.
So, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Femi Drojai. I'm a medical student, actually. So, speaking about the brain drain in the medical field, it's true. Because many of my classmates, I'm like one of many that wants to still stay in the country. Everybody is running away totally. And realistically speaking, you get some stats on that they will actually want to come back. I speak to all of my classmates, they are like, they will send me money. If it's to build Nigeria, no problem, they will send us the money for us to build the country. But just to wait here is the issue. I think the processes can be made better. The processes in government, the processes in the institutions. I submitted a proposal for a development in my school. And this, now to the CMD, I submitted it to the CMD. And that was since October, late October. For about 2 months, I'm just getting the reply yesterday. For something that I submitted for 2 months ago. And that's something that was very important for a development in the school. So I think the processes could be made shorter, You hear my provost come to school and then he spoke about that. It takes the Senate House about, they meet quarterly, so 4 months, in 4 months until they meet. If there is any issue, we have to wait for those 4 months, wait to not be patient. I think processes can be made better. Urgent matters can be attended to urgently for us to make a change.
Thank you. Processes are one of the ways that we strengthen institutions. So it's important. Yes. Can we have also? Yeah. After that, I would like to have a lady or so. Yes.
Good afternoon, everyone. I want to thank the panelists for doing justice to the topic under discourse. It specifically spoke to me because I have to career path. I'm an academic. I'm a member of ASU, so I'm on strike. I'm also a potential candidate for brain drain. I've been a lecturer at the University of Lagos in the Faculty of Social Sciences. I've given the Unilag like 12 years, and I'm also a legal practitioner. I was recently called to the bar. I'm afraid that the needed paradigm shifts in our educational system from the passive orientation to the active one, which I will describe as where we need technical education, vocational education, and professionalism, may not be achievable in the nearest future, except those will find their bellies to change the current status quo that has no status are voted into power. Unfortunately, such persons are not allowed to offer leaders the opportunity. I can give an example here. I know Dr. Austin, who is contested once in a police state, and even twice. And I hope support to tell me I'm a Delta. If you ask me, my informed opinion is the best to rule Delta State, because we can describe us, not just Delta, even Nigeria, as a paradox of a wealthy nation and poor citizenry. That is the situation. So all these intellectual stuff, interventionists, how can we solve the problem? Because I may just be one of those that in the next show will join them. Thank you.
Please don't join them yet because we still do things right. Yes. Maybe one more lady, then we close this session. Okay.
Mr. Honorary, panelists and distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I'm very happy that the last speaker was called before me, because for me, he has hit the nail on the head in terms of why Nigeria is what and where it is today. I dare say you waste your time in hoping that those people abroad would come back here, because you have to answer a very simple question: what are they coming back to, and what are they coming back for? And all the education that you are talking about, to what use can they be put in Nigeria? Until you tackle the central issue that afflicts this nation, I'm sorry, Nigeria, in spite of all its possibilities, will never make it. You must tackle the central issue. Principally, a country that has nothing to do with merit has no chance of succeeding. we are here talking about leadership and role modeling. I may be picked up by DSS as I live here because I want to say, what example do you set for your posterity when for how many years now you've been struggling to define what is the qualification to become president of a country? And you have a constitution that makes all of those things possible. The 1999 constitution is a bar to progress in all human endeavor that you can think about. So, gentlemen, if you want to put this country right, put the one thing that is wrong with it right. The military came in '66. Today we are in 2018, some 52 years after. Since then, it has been repression. It has been not allowing people to have views that are progressive. So how are you going to do it? And my fear is this. I'm very much of the old or even older generation. The likes of me are on the way out. Since 1966 until now, the people born into this country have no other idea of what a country is meant to be like other than to go about in fear of being picked up for expressing their opinions.
Thank you.
So when you get out of here, you do not want to come back. And I'm bitter because I have children who have refused to come back. I've made the mistake of training them, giving them the best, like the lady there was talking about, and Nigeria is out of their imagination. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We hope that people like our presidential candidate here, Buhari, will be able to get opportunity so that some of these things can be reversed. Yes, madam. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. And I look at the subject of today's discourse, and it really resonates in who Colonel Sani Bello, retired, is. And I'm one of those people who have been in diaspora after living in America for the last 26 years to have a soft landing in working with him. And he has been a fantastic leader. I've met him in the boardroom, and he has guided my growing up back into the cultural society in Nigeria. And I'm very happy today that he's been celebrated, because he's a very quiet man who doesn't like to celebrate himself. That's one thing I've noticed about him. But I have never met somebody who has been more of a bridge in this country than he has. If you look around this room and you look in the first row of this room, those who have been closest to him are from all parts of this country. And for someone like me, who is a small southern girl, who you have taken under your wing and showed me how to manage a boardroom, I think I am indeed very grateful to have met you at this time in my career. The other thing that people may not know about you is that you are such an educator, whether you are doing it quietly or you're speaking to people in private. And I'm happy that our presidential candidate here is one of the people who went to your school. I've met quite a number as well who went to your school, from primary school, who you would introduce and say, they are my children. And it is so impressive for people like us to see your humility and the fact that you are so accessible in so much as you have made such a success in life and you have transitioned and reinvented over and over and over again. So it is important that for those people who are a little bit bitter about what our country is, to look at the life of Colonel Sani Bello retired and know that it's so possible. There are many limitless opportunities in this country. I haven't lived in this country for 27 years, and my soft landing happened to be in one of the companies under his leadership. I know you talked a lot about soft landing, and my soft landing came in having him mentor me. So, even though it has not been formal of a mentorship, but it's been incredible to have worked with him. Thank you, sir.
Just 30 seconds, please. As one of the representatives of the governor of Niger State.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I really wasn't going to say anything, but the presidential candidate and his last lady gave me a reason to want to talk right now. Retired Colonel Sani Bello is the father to the present governor of Niger State, whose privilege I serve as the chief of staff. So I'm sorry I'm breathing the way I am because I'm nervous. I'm speaking in Lagos before Sani Bello. Please, I want the children of Colonel Sani Bello here to stand up for recognition. Usman Bello, Suleiman, and Ibo, please. These are some of the young men that our father have trained, very successful young men. And the fact that Buhari said that he doesn't interfere. He doesn't interfere in our government. He teaches us every day on how to make him proud and how to serve society. And for some of us who also have the issues on where Nigeria has been today, we have hope that somebody like him still gives us the mentorship that we require. So on behalf of myself, the government of Niger State, we're very proud that Colonel Sani Bello is still alive and still kicking very strongly, and we still want to continue with this.
Thank you very much. Just before I wrap it up, I have a request. I want to be a student that I don't want to graduate under your tutelage. And God will keep you alive and to be able to contribute more to the society, bring up more younger generation, so that we have a critical mass of people who think, like you. It's all about the mind, attitude. I want to thank you, and again, I want to thank the panelists. It's been great working with you, and I would like to the conference. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
All right, give it up for the panelists, Mr. Victor Kamibo, Mrs. Aileen Sherwin, Mr. Tola Oshigo, Dr. Ibilola Amao, and of course, the brilliant moderator, Dr. Austin Weze. It's been an insightful panel session, really. Did anyone learn something? Yes. No one learned? I'm sure we all did. All right. This one, please permit me to just highlight some of the concerns raised. I know we have barely no time here, but we've been talking about the brain drain. But the entertainment and arts sector seems to be different because we have an influx of people coming back here. Likes of Tiwa Savage. Do I have Unilag students in the building who know entertainment and arts? right? You have Banky W. So what can we do to change the narrative in the tech, science and tech industry? We have to go back and think about this, because I'm sure those people that came back, they are doing so well. I know everybody knows these people, and they put Nigeria on the map, an international entertainment map that is. Please, at this point, permit me to recognize Otumba Tony Akomalafe, who is the chairman, Index Group Limited, and the national president, Nigerian American Chamber of Commerce. Otumba, you're welcome, sir. Also, we have Elder Nat Okoro, who is the CVL Lwt honoree. He is an honoree. All right, moving forward. At this juncture, ladies and gentlemen, we will take a tribute in honor of Sir Colonel Sani Bello. Please watch the multimedia screen.
My name is Mohammed Sani Bello.
That's my full name. Many people know me more as Colonel Sani Bello because of my previous life as an army man. I was born in 1942 at Kwantagora, Niger State, and went to primary school at Kwantagora Central Primary School then, and went to Bida Gaman College, which was then called Niger Provincial Secondary School, from 1957 to 1962. After my school certificate in 1962, I joined the Nigerian Army as an officer cadet at Kaduna between December 1962 to June 1963 for preliminary training to become an officer in the Army. After that preliminary training, I was lucky to be one of the successful officer cadets to be recommended for further training, and I was sent to the famous Royal Military Academy, Sandhurst in England. I returned to Nigeria in 1965, August. I was posted to the then 1st Infantry Battalion in Enugu, which still remains my mother unit then. From there, of course, life continues. But this is briefly where I started my life is, from school to the army. I knew no other job except being a soldier.
Even after retiring from the army, the colonel continued with various appointments, amongst which were former chairman of insurance company and banks, former Nigerian ambassador to Zimbabwe, 1984 to 1986, former chairman, Niger State Polytechnic, former chairman, Nigerian Table Tennis Federation, former Niger State Science and Tech 1981 to 1984 School Board, founder and former chairman, AMNI International and Petroleum Development Company, Vice Chairman MTN, Chairman Dantata and Saoi Construction Company Limited, President Mustafa Comprehensive School, current President Bida Old Boys Association, Founder Chairman Sani Bello Foundation, Chairman Mainstream Energy Solution Limited. An indelible educationist, Colonel Sani Bello has invested widely into the future of Nigerians, irrespective of race or religion.
I think essentially integrity. I never tried to, in all my dealings with people, to shortchange them. And because of that, I think people trusted me a lot. And I enjoyed working with quite a number of people. Some of them older, some of them younger. We interacted and we had honest thoughts and discussions. And in most cases which you mentioned, ranging from banking to insurance, to oil, to communication, to construction, to power sector now, which I am involved, I brought openness. I did not operate with a pinky-punky business. I made sure when I operated openly for everybody to see. And also, if there was benefit, the benefit goes to everybody. Not to be cornered by the few, just because of their relationships or closeness to me, or even myself. To me, that is trust. And over the years, I got this trust from many people. And for me to survive this long, in various sectors of the Nigerian economy, It means there's something good I'm doing, which I think many people appreciate.
I am truly happy and pleased to talk about Colonel Sani Bello. My feelings about him are unambiguously positive, and this comes from knowing him intimately for some 35 years now. He is solid and dependable as a friend. He's a man of his words with sound principles of fairness and decency. Recorded so much achievement in his time. He's a man without show. There are no airs about him. He is humble. He's always calm. For those many years I've been with him, I have never seen him angry. I have never seen him ruffled. He is able to get along without showing any trait of anger. He has achieved so much in his life, so very much in the areas he's worked. He's worked in the military, an army commander, as a governor, businessman. In all those places he's worked, I think he's come out with flying colors. But still, he's able to show no pride whatsoever. He's also a philanthropist in many ways, and he makes sure that his philanthropy goes to areas where you can say have what I would call strong multiplier effects. There are so many other things I can say about him, but I don't think I have the time. But get it from me that they are all positive and very endearing.
The determination to see the best come out of Nigerian children prompted him to establish a school and even a foundation for skills acquisition where they could stand on their own even without employment after their education.
Oh, it was vast change. As a military governor, you are what you are. You are not saddled by the issue of assemblies to make noise for you. You are not going to vote and be voted. So I think you are okay. That's how I look at it. And everybody that you brought as a military governor, you are bringing him there to advise you. But an advisor is always an advisor. It's the ability to take decision, which is important. And you as the governor is supposed to take a decision. You may take good decisions sometimes. You may take wrong decisions sometimes. But by and large, as a military governor, your life is less cumbersome than it is now, from what I can see. To be a governor now, I think to be a small hell on earth. Everybody, you find people talking, they voted you in, and they think because they voted you, they have right to tell you rubbish. When I was military governor, nobody could tell me rubbish, because nobody voted me. So I think there's a tremendous difference. I feel the governors of today, especially in Nigeria, I think Nigerians don't understand what governance is all about. They look at governance as what you can get out of the system, rather than what you can contribute to the system. Most of the states spend over 80% of their budget on recurrence. Only 20% is left for the public. And what percentage do they form of the state, the population of the state? They form less than 20%, less than 10% of the population of the state. Of a state with 1 million people, only probably 50,000 people are taking 80% of the resources. How do you expect the state to function, for goodness sake? We need, this kind of constitution is too expensive. We need to look at it again. We cannot afford it. We cannot afford to leave everything open like that. We cannot afford it. This country cannot afford it. Why do we waste so much money? Useful money which should go into the public to build roads, build hospitals, build qualitative schools. Notice I said qualitative schools, not relief rafts. If you look around this country, everywhere, you find children studying under trees. The richest states and the poorer states, all the same. We are spending too much money on overheads and leaving too little to the capital development of our people. We must rewrite this constitution.
Colonel Sani Bello is a man of many parts. He's someone that I can say with all sense of privilege and responsibility that I've known for well over 14 to 15 years. Colonel Sani Bello was my chairman when I was in a public quoted company as managing director. And when I chose to start my own business, I also invited Colonel Sani Bello to participate. And I know Colonel Sani Bello participated not because of the profit, but basically because of his kindness of heart, because I have seen that in him over the years, in which he tries to support younger people who are upcoming, to be able to succeed in business. And that is considerable for you. But in describing him, I must say that he's a man of so many parts. Successful in his career as a military man, went into business. He was a one-time ambassador, and he has played in the corporate organizations in Nigeria at the board level. He's an astute corporate man, and a thoroughly destabilized Nigerian.
I don't know what his career, since I never had one other than the army. No, I think it depends on the individual, quite honestly. And first of all, it depends on the individual. And secondly, your ability to learn on the job. And I think probably myself, I was lucky as I had this ability of learning on the job, OJT, and it helped me. And I learned from people. A lot of people were very supportive of my inadequacies. And they helped me. So I'm very grateful. I know these difficult times. First of all, the jobs are not there. And I feel sorry for younger people, younger generation, because why am I sorry for them? They are looking for a job, and in the job description they said experience will be needed. And this is a child who has never offered me a job. How will he acquire the experience which he needs? Catch-22 situation, but we may go on like that. I hope our experts will know more about human issues like this. Will find a way to do it. But I feel sorry for younger generation now. Quite honestly, I don't know. Changing times, because I never had a career which I would say it was an army which was I never applied for any job besides the army, and instantly even the army I didn't apply for it. I was forced into it by the late Sani Bello, Sultan of Sokoto of blessed memory. So I never have a career which I applied for. Come think of it. I never applied for any job. So that's it. I don't want to comment on that. I think it's a complicated subject, and I don't like to portray my ignorance by commenting wrongly. Technocrats are there to advise governments. They are the ones, they are the engine of every government. Any government without good technocrats will not succeed. That includes civil service, good civil service. I'll give you an example. If you look at governments like Italy and Japan, if these governments were only run by politicians only, they wouldn't have moved an inch, because they were always changing. Before, in Italy, before Berlusconi, they are changing every day, everywhere they are changing new government. How did you expect such a, from World War II to Berlusconi days? I can't remember what time Berlusconi came into power. But who kept the engine going? The civil servants, the technocrats. In Nigeria, I think this is why we have floundered. We have literally wiped out our technocrats. We are making them irrelevant because we have not given them security of tenure. We are not encouraging them to live above board. We are not encouraging them to maintain their professionalism in the service. And because of this, that's the reason why we're having a problem.
Colonel Sani Bello retired. If I want to describe him, one, I would say he's a philanthropist. Two, he's very accommodating. Three, he's a very patient man. Four, he's a mentor to many. Five, he's very loving. Six, he's a man that can accommodate many people. He's a man that can love devoid of any sentiment. No man is perfect, but if I must say, Colonel Sani Bello retired is near perfect. I learned so many things from him, and that is one of the major reasons why I continued working with him. He's a man that knows how to manage human beings. No matter how difficult you are, he knows how to manage you. He knows how to tolerate you. He knows how to be patient with you. That is the first man that told me that if you have invested in a man for long, then that man you should handle, create room for retention. And that is why that is the only man I've found that has a private sector where you have workers that can stay with him for over 30 years. Nobody, I've not seen in recent time a man with a record like that. For workers to work in a private sector with him for over 30 years, and he creates, retention program for them. He's a good man.
Well, I think that the Nigerian youth, first of all, should learn to be patient. I think along the line, the Nigerian youth want to run even before they could walk. And unfortunately, again, they should learn not to be used. Quite a number of them, Nigerian youth today, they like cheap, easy money. The days of cheap, easy money are over. I think they should learn to work and work hard.
Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Colonel Sani Bello.
You can give a standing ovation to this icon with a round of applause, a round of applause, and maybe a scream. Do I have young people from Unilag in this building? We also have young people from LASU, that's Lagos State University. Can you scream some more? All right, thank you so much. We celebrate you once again, sir. You're deserving of all the accolades that you've been getting. They say a good name is better than riches, but I like to say a good name will give you riches. And that's what we're saying here today. What will people say about you? Go back home and ponder on these. All right, at this point, without wasting much of our time, moving on, we'll go over 2 brief presentations, tributes by special guests. And to lead this, of course, can we have Alhaji Usman Sani Bello of the Sani Bello Foundation. His son.
Sani Bello, retired, former military governor of Kano State, father of the present executive governor of Niger State, members of the high table, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. May I, first of all, on behalf of Sani Bello Foundation, me being the vice chairman of Sani Bello Foundation, wish our father, our role model, our friend, the chairman of Sani Bello Foundation, a happy birthday, well, I'm sure. And of course, to congratulation for this well-deserved award. Having listened to quite a few before I say the next one, actually, I must apologize. I have been warned by my teacher that I talk too much. And my teacher happens to be Colonel Sani Bello retired. So today I'm going to be a naughty student. I will not listen to my teacher. I will say and speak as I please. Listen to quite a few comments made regarding our education system in Nigeria. I must say that I too, I am a victim of the situation in Nigeria. Having gone to Kontagora Primary School, that is an army children's school, not a private school, army children's school in the 70s to 90s. And then of course going to various schools in my life. I ended up with a hope of studying to be a medical doctor. In 1992 I got admission, first choice, ABU, Faculty of Medicine. My ID card says U91-1092 and it says I will graduate in 1997. But by 1997 I was in my 3rd year. Yes, 3rd year. Years were wasted due to the strikes and problems of ASU. During 1992, I may say the 1990 Babangida regime all started. The very month that we actually started, or a month later, there was a strike for 1 month. There was a bit of a breather during the 1990 Shonakan regime. During the 1990 Abacha era, we were at home for at least 1 year, 4 months. And I say to myself, that was sometime in 1997, I say to myself, if I am going to be a doctor, I might as well be a good doctor. And if I am going to be a good doctor, there is no way on earth I can be a good doctor and spend in one year, 6 months or 4 months at home. Painfully, I decided to throw away my life ambition and say, you know what, I think maybe I should not spend so much time to be a doctor. Perhaps I should go ahead and do another course. Painfully, I decided, and I moved to the UK, and I studied geology, geography, and environmental issues. Earlier on, the lady mentioned something about in the oil and gas industry, local content. I know that word, the local content, that phrase. It sounds so very familiar. 2008, after graduating, of course, I did my MBA in marketing, and I ended up working with an oil company. Dare I say the name of the company is Afrin. And I got tired of London, and I wanted to come back home, funny enough. And I packed up in January 2008 and moved to Nigeria. And for almost 4 months, if I may say, 4 months, it was a problem because of the salary I was getting in London. There's no way the office, because the same office I moved to, just the Lagos office, and there's no way the Lagos office would actually give me the same scale or the same amount of cash I was getting in London. And for 6 months, I think it was, I didn't get any salary. You know, because the lady said to me, the HR lady said to me, listen, we don't know what to do with you right now, because if we give you the salary that you were getting in London, it will upset everything in the company in Lagos. That was then. So it's amazing how the panel, each and every single one of you has actually touched something that is so dear to my life and shaping me what I've actually become. But today is not really my day. Sani Bello, our father, is the founder of the Sani Bello Foundation. Sani Bello Foundation had been, well, we can say, 7 years in existence, but really I think Sani Bello Foundation, or Sani Bello, the man, the philanthropist, the foundation had always been in existence long before he even moved to the Royal Academy in Sandhurst. He had always been a philanthropist anyway, so having a foundation, formally having a foundation, is not a difficult thing for us to do. 1982, Mustafa Comprehensive School, the first block. We had 2 classes then, and the idea then really was to give some sort of a platform for the younger ones to at least have a good education. And now, over 30 years later, we've graduated so many people around Nigeria and outside country, doing very well successfully. Happy to say that my brother Ahmed is the presidential candidate, first of such kind. It is absolutely something that one should be very proud of. Sani Bello Foundation in Kontagora, Niger State is actually on a path to have some sort of a establishment where education obviously is the key focus, the focal point of it all. We have graduated at least 7 sets from this college, and we have given hope, a future to quite a few of our beneficiaries. I will share a story of a lady I visited. I try occasionally as the vice chairman of that foundation to visit our beneficiaries or our students to see how well they are doing, at least to make sure that we are on the right path. One of the stories that I will share with you is that I was informed of a girl or a lady, a married woman. She can barely, she cannot speak, obviously she cannot hear. I'm trying to be very diplomatically correct, using the right word. And I visited her. Now go into her house, because she has a poultry what do you call it, business. Now, going to her house, I remember there was so much poverty. I mean, when you see poverty, you can smell it, you can touch it, you can feel it, you can actually see the dirt and poverty. And I said to myself, really, how can birds or even human beings really survive in such a environment? To my surprise, when she came out, obviously I don't have the knowledge of sign language, but I got the lecturers to communicate with her. And I saw her chickens, extremely white chickens in a mud hut. And I wondered how did she call it? The chickens were looking so clean, as white as our dear chief of staff is wearing. She was looking absolutely snow white. And I asked how many chickens did she start with, and they said, oh, she started with 100 chickens. And I said, so how many does she have? And they said, oh, she has 97 chickens. That's a 97% success. 97%. And I was really impressed, and I asked, well, the person who is like a mediator to please ask her, can I please buy these chickens, because they were ready for the table. And she shook her head, she said no. And I said, please go ask her why not. And she said, or rather she told the gentleman to tell me that, oh, Salah will be in 2 weeks. And if she waits for 2 weeks, the chickens will become bigger and she will make more money. That is success. That is success indeed. You mentioned earlier on, internet, information technology, and all sorts of things that come with it. The Sani Bello Foundation, Sani Bello College, we are hoping to open up international standard ICT department. Our kids don't have to go to India, hopefully, or to America, or to South Africa, or Dubai. Our kids can actually go to Pantagora and get all the necessary things that need to be done. A Bangalorian approach whereby IoT, blockchains, you mentioned the whole lot. I have said too much. Finally, on behalf of the Sani Bello Foundation, we would like to make a donation of 2 million naira to the support and activities for the Center of Value Leadership. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to say all that I can say within a very short time, bearing in mind that I have some sort of control of not speaking too much. Perhaps now we can have some more cake. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Alhaji Usman Bello, Sani Bello, Vice Chairman, Sani Bello Foundation. Please, a round of applause one more time for him. Like they say, more king of the bone goat, right? It's represented so well. All right, at this point, moving on, we'll go over to the next item here, and it is brief tributes by special guests. We're all special, so I think I have to come down for this one, because it has to be brief. I mean, if you were to describe Sarah Cornell Sani Bello, what would you say?
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, without a forewarning, it becomes a bit clumsy to arrange my thoughts. Because when Sani Bello, I met him, I knew him when I was a cadet in the Defense Academy. And I came to visit the Army headquarters in those days at Marina. and I saw this very handsome, well turned out army officer. I was so fascinated. And I said, when I grow up, I'm going to be like him. Well, I never became like him because I was never a governor. But I ran into him again in the year 1998. And we had to go to South Africa together. And that was the beginning of a long journey to bring MTN into Nigeria. And after that, since then, we have been together. It's been a very great privilege for me. I don't know how to say. And the wife and I, and the wife and my family were together in London. I mean, it's natural. It's just natural. We flow into one another. He has invited me to a lot of activities, Mainstream Foundation, Mainstream itself, for which he has exposed me to a lot of experience on boardroom politics and a few other things that I have to keep to myself. But one of the beautiful things is we are always constantly looking for what to do. We are always looking for opportunities because the Nigerian environment is absolutely full of opportunities. And the question is, if you are not looking, you won't see it. But when you see it and you are ready to make sacrifice and put all your mind to it, 2, 3, 4 years, you start to see the turnaround. Is incredible. The kind of return on investments in this environment is mad. I want to thank him, sir, that he took me under his wings. Most times I'm always too shy to say I'm also Colonel Peters, because my own colonel is not anywhere near his colonel. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Cornell. And just to let you know that you're still growing, so don't give up on that hope. Okay, at this juncture, for want of time, we can't take more tribute. We'll move over to presentation of plaque. And to do the presentation, we have no other than, a minute please. To do the presentation of plaque, we have Professor Emmanuel Odozian. Can we have Professor Emmanuel Odozian? Please, a round of applause, Prof.
Very distinguished honorees, members of the high table, distinguished invitees, ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasant task, and I repeat the word pleasant task, to present the flag to Colonel Sani Bello. So that you will know what is inside the flag, what is written on the flag. I have pleasure in reading it out to you. Award of Excellence to an exceptional leader in recognition of outstanding contributions in the Nigerian public, private and developmental peace sectors. Presented at the 47th Cvl Leader with High Title Sector Leadership Colloquium in honor of Colonel Sani Bello at 76, Thursday, December 13, 2018. Congratulations.
Thank you very much, Professor. Please, with a lot of, as he goes back to his Ebola, sir. Thank you very much, Professor Emmanuel, for that presentation. To take us through the cake, the cutting of the cake, can we please have distinguished Senator Chief Victor Odili?
Thank you very much. Mr. Moderator, members of the panel, we thank you very much. You've done a very good job for us. I'm pleased and we're all pleased. It is my privilege now for us to toast our guests. I don't see any knives here, are they? I don't see them for us. I know the form to guide me. What do I say now? Sorry. Children, come on, Bello. Why is it about? You want to be here? Come. This way. Come. I'll stay with you. We all put our hands here at the count of 3. Is that okay for you? You understand the count of 3? 1. Put your hands, please. Put your hands. 1, 2, big go. 3.
Moving on from the cutting of the cake, which has been successfully done, to the toast. So ladies and gentlemen, can you fill your glasses? You can fill it with water, but we have champagne. And to take us through the toast, can we have Elder Nat Okoro, CVL leader without title, honorary. Elder Nat Okoro. All right. Please help celebrate Elder Nat Okoro. Can we have the ushers open, please?
Mr. Chairman, let me say all protocols observed. I was excited when I was invited to come here today to honor a man I have read about a number of times. I have never had the privilege of meeting him. Never. And I've always thought of him as the man who really has not received the recognition that he deserves at this time. As far as I'm concerned, Colonel Sani Bello is the Lieutenant Colonel, Lieutenant General that was never given. He is my younger brother. He's only 76. I am 88. On the 26th of February 2018. That's in the next 2 months. I'll be 88 years old. I was born on the 26th of February 1931 to a railway man. And I served this country in the railways. I have really been waiting for this opportunity to speak. I came in here blank, completely blank. So I paid attention to all that people have been talking about him. And one thing that struck me was that he had only 2 things. He had character. Do you hear that? He
He has character. Second one is he has a soul for investment. I tell you what, the investment I'm talking about is not investing in property and projects. I'm talking about investing in the one person, investing in the child. I was brought up as a very a young man by parents that believes in character and integrity. Now, when I was listening to what they were talking about, Lieutenant General Sani Bello, I saw a man filled with integrity, a man who never traveled incognito, a man who was authentic, who is authentic in every respect. So, congratulations. I also saw Lieutenant General Colonel Sani Bello. I also saw him as a great investor and a very obedient man to God himself. You know what God said in Malachi 4:6? He said, I will give the fathers the heart to look after their children, and I will give the children the heart to look after their parents. And if they fail, if either party fails, that he will smite the land and the cause. So part of the problem of Nigeria today is the fact that those of us who are parents, we have failed in our duty, we have not shown our love to our children, and so our children have gone astray. But here is a man, a younger brother of me, mine. Thank you,
Sani Bello. Colonel Sani Bello.
When I take calls on stage, I take over my reflection. So, he's a man of character, he's a man of integrity, he is also a man of knowledge. And finally, he is a man of dignity. So, as far as I'm concerned, when I look at Colonel Sani Bello, which he used to be called, I see a man I can name as Mr. IKD. Integrity, knowledge, and dignity. So on that note, I hope that's not for all of this. As they are doing that, I like to say, I recall, the first thing I had when I came in here was that Nigeria was beautiful. People were in England and they were very anxious to come back. I happened to be one of those. Yes, I came back from England in 1959 as a federal government scholar. All right? As a federal government scholar, we had the opportunity of staying in England 2 weeks after you finish whatever course you went to enjoy ourselves, to go to Europe, go everywhere, at government expense. Then of course we had to come back by ship because we went by ship. That's another 2 weeks to enjoy ourselves on the high seas. Some of us never had the opportunity of spending the extra 2 weeks in London. We rushed back to Nigeria. Why? Because Nigeria was better than England in every respect. We looked forward to coming back. In fact, those days you had to go to the post office to go and knock to see if it's possible to speak to Nigeria. Which was a beautiful country. And as they met you at Apapa Wharf, the SEO was there to invite you to test their car. The Ventus was there to all the cars They brought them for you to shoot the one you do, and at government expense. Then they take you from Ababa Terminal 5 to your house in my case to the railway compound. All right? Yes. So honest to tell you the truth, Nigeria was a beautiful country. And I know Nigeria is going to do it again. Whether anybody likes it or not. Well, because the distinguished, the most celebrated human being, the excellent man, excellent governor, excellent senator, excellent ambassador, excellent president, excellent everything. Amen. Please forgive me, I'm not a routine man. I'm a breathless optimist. That's why I told you that you well with Nigeria.
Osha. Roasties. Lucky me drinks.
Can you take your glass close to your neighbors and just cheers, cheers, cheers. And if you have a bottle drink, bottle water, you can do that. It doesn't matter. Cheers. To long life. For he's a jolly good fellow, for he's a jolly good fellow, for he's a jolly good fellow. And says, say all of us, and so says all of us. For he's a jolly good fellow, for he's a jolly good fellow, for he's a jolly good fellow. Please a round of applause for him. At this point, please you can have your seats. The man of the moment, the one who would share the moment with anyone, not even his son whom he loved or his sons whom he loved dearly. A response from you, it's been a long day.
Members of the High Table, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I really don't know where to start because I'm really taken aback by the kind of good things said about me by people that I came across with one time or another in my life. When I was hearing some of them saying something about me, I was not sure whether it was me or somebody else. And then somebody said it was me. I had no choice but to accept it was me. But it was like a dream, a while. All of them who said good things about me, thank you. And even those who didn't say anything at all, I know they have good things about me. Thank you very much all. I'll just make one comment from all the comments made today. And that comment is education. I would have asked, where did we go wrong? Our educational system has not really produced the kind of people which we like to produce for the future of Nigeria. I do not produce it. I would like to give an example. When I was growing up, there was no, certainly in northern Nigeria, I don't know much about the south, but in northern Nigeria then there were no private schools. All of us, the sons or the children of the wealthy and the children of the poor, the villagers and the city men, all went to the same school. And we grew up together and became one. Not now. Now in Nigeria we are developing a class distinction. Why? Because the children of the wealthy go to private schools. And unfortunately the children of the less privileged people go to the public schools that are poorly maintained, poorly manned, poorly teached, and poorly tutored. And because most of them went to poor schools, they end up with very, very poor education. And they cannot compete with the children of the wealthy who are very lucky and privileged to go to private schools for childhood. And therefore, even in competing, even getting good jobs, the children of the wealthy were better placed than the children of the poor. I think this situation is bad. I believe we must, should I ask myself or ask question, are private schools a curse or a blessing? To me, on hindsight, I say they are a curse. They have divided us. They have given us classes, the class of the poor, and once you are poor, you remain poor, perpetually poor. Your children remain perpetually poor. Your children remain perpetually poor, because they will not be able to afford the kind of qualitative education which the rich give their children. I think those of you who are educators must find ways and means to redress this very bad situation. We are developing a very, very dangerous situation for the future. Because unfortunately, these less privileged people are more in number. And if we don't carry them along with us now, in future, their children will pay us, not the way we want, but in a way which we don't expect. If not to us, but certainly to our children. Our children or grandchildren will not be able to have peace if we do not take care of the poor children of today. Because they will see them as privileged children whose parents have helped and made it impossible for them to grow and to develop. And therefore, those of you who are in the education sector or particular class, you should do whatever is possible to make sure we bridge the gap between the rich and the poor, especially in education. And this is the only comment I want to make regarding education. So much has been said already. I don't want to reinvent the wheel. Already very knowledgeable panelists have said so much on all the subjects which were raised. And therefore, for me to make any further comment on that, I think would be like trying to beat a dead horse. There's no need beating a dead horse. The horse is dead, therefore it should be batted. So finally, may I thank the CVL management staff. May I thank the panelists for a good job well done. May I thank the promoters. May I thank all those people who are associated. And most importantly, you, the audience who are able to come here to honor me today. I really appreciate it. I cannot thank you enough for all for your very, very precious time. Because these days and time, especially during Christmas, time is very, very precious to all of us. I thank you for sparing time to come and see and listen to this colloquium. I hope most of us who are here today must have learned one thing or the other. I think the important thing about this colloquium is for us to teach ourselves what is the right thing to do and what is the wrong thing to do. So I hope by the end of the day, some of us, or all of us, or most of us, must have benefited from something. Finally, thank you. And may God bless you.
Thank you very much, sir. And congratulations, yes, it's an honor. Yes, before I hand over the microphone to the next person, I'd like to say my name is Winifred Bassi, and I'm an award-winning honor personality. Allow me to brag for a second as an MC. And if you have an event, I recommend you get the best, and the best, certainly, is me. Thank you. All right, at this point, please permit me to make welcome on stage CVL Executive Director, New Business Development and CRO for Technology, Ms. Isioma Utobi. This is a round of applause.
Thank you very much, Ingrid. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for taking the time out to be with us here today. I'm sure we've all enjoyed the engaging discussion from the panel. I have to say, as an engineer, I'm very much biased towards STEM, so I approve. I am very grateful for your time, because I know it's the middle of the week, so everyone who is here, we are very grateful for your time. On behalf of the founder of the Center for Values, Professor Patutomi, and the CVL team, thank you very much. We'd also like to thank our partners, Mainstream Energy Solutions Limited, MTN, Sani Bello Foundation, and of course, Law Union and Rock Insurance PLC. Our panelists, again, for the engaging discussion. The celebrant himself, thank you so much for your time, for your contributions, for sharing all this with all of us, and for everyone present. We hope you gained a lot from this experience. And thank you for joining us, and we hope to see you again very soon. Thank you.